Alright, let's do some VoIP stuff now. These phones are old. This is a Linksys 942 here, this one. And this is a Granstream GXP2000. This is a bad phone, or really had a lot of problems with these. When I first started VoIP, you pick your hardware and you learn to use it, you learn to deploy it, and these are the two phones I first settled on. This turned out to be a good decision. This turned out to be a bad decision. So let's move this out of the way. And let's put this here. Alright, this phone had a number of issues. Where to begin? Feature-wise, this looked great. It had a lot of speed dial buttons that you can configure with the BLF. It had a nice big display, and it wasn't a bad looking phone. I didn't necessarily like it. I thought it just didn't have a good feel to it. The handset didn't feel good, and the buttons kind of felt like chiclet buttons. These buttons here too, not so great, but I went by what other people thought, and they thought it wasn't a bad phone. It was a decent looking phone. I checked at the time the reviews on the internet, and there was a lot of good stuff, but there was also some negative stuff, and I just thought maybe people aren't configuring these things properly. Maybe that's where all the problems are. I checked the firmware updates, and it looked like Granstream was really updating these things, and they were fixing what looked like a lot of software problems. It didn't look like this was a phone with hardware problems. It looked like, yeah, there's some issues, but they're being fixed. So I'll take a gamble on this, and I'll offer clients a choice. The Linksys phones or these phones. These were cheaper, so a lot of companies, not a lot, I would say a few companies, I didn't put many out there. And after I discovered the problems with these, I didn't offer it as a choice anymore. But the problems I began having, let's start with the AC adapter. This adapter, probably one of the worst AC adapters developed, because I've had to replace a number of these on each phone. They just died. I don't know. Let's see. Can we see who makes them? After a while, these things would just die. You know, a brief power outage, or any kind of electrical spike just killed these things. They didn't last very long, so they died. Besides hooking up a UPS between them, not even power bars helped. So it wasn't really worth it to put a UPS for each phone. You either had to go PoE or AC adapter, and in places where they didn't have a PoE switch, a lot of these AC adapters got damaged. That's one thing. The handset. These things would snap, crackle, and pop. And if that's not bad enough, they had other issues, like at some point they would start to buzz. You'd hear a buzzing sound, and eventually the whole thing would fail, or it would get so bad that he had to replace it. So that's that. And the other thing was that these things were not very stable. Depending on the firmware you installed, yes, it would fix some issues, but then it would create new ones. So if you go and check out the history of the firmware of this phone, you'll see where it's always been constantly updated. Issues would be fixed, and then new issues would be introduced. So it was always a constant battle of, if you're going to apply an update, what feature you were fixing and what feature you were breaking. So that was one of the problems I had with these. After a certain period, these things just didn't work. There was too many complaints, so I just felt bad, and whatever ones I put out there, I basically, you know, bought back or replaced at no charge with, you know, other manufacturers. And so I felt so bad about these phones that I didn't even try to sell them at used or discounted price. I just kept them. I had like a set of 10 phones which are sitting in my basement because I didn't want anybody else to have this many problems with them. So I lost money on these things, and it was just terrible. So, you know, right now, probably nobody's using these. If there's anybody out there using these and you're having problems, yeah, it's the phone. It's not the service. It's nothing else. It's the phone. But what I wanted to do with this is just because I had such a really bad experience with this phone, I just wanted to open it up and see, you know, what was inside. Maybe it was just bad electronics. I just wanted to pop it open, just see what's inside. So let's do that. Let's take this thing apart. All right, let's, all right. Not bad. Decent sized speaker. Let's see if we can just take this ribbon cable out. All right. So let's look at the circuit board here. So there's a lot of capacitors, but it doesn't look like any of them are really bad. With a lot of the computers out there, when you start getting intermittent problems and all kinds of blue screens, it's usually the capacitors that go bad. But here it looks like all of them are flat, and you know, it's just probably a bad design that this phone just had all these problems. So see this. This is a little weird. It looks like the cable's stretched here. Not good design at all. See this? Flip. Yeah. All right. Is there? There's no point opening this up. It just looks like it's a LCD display. So let's just leave that. All right, let's take apart the handset, because that's one of the problems I had with so I think there's a screw underneath this, but it's there we go. Just yank that out. Well, this could be a little tough. pause this and figure out how to open this. Alright, this was tough to open, so I damaged it quite a bit. It was rock solid. Whoever fastened this did a really good job. This little speaker here was, usually you could pop these out, but this thing was jammed in there. And this little silk screen here, I think it's supposed to cover the area here. It looked like it was glued in the wrong position, or doesn't fully extend out here. Might explain the bad sounds if they're all like this, but yeah, it didn't feel good popping open. It felt like everything was forced in here. Usually with the electronics you could pop things out easily. This thing, I think I cracked the plastic, yeah, in order to pry it off. So I don't think it was made all that well, but I'm going to open up the Linksys at some point and see how that compares. So, you know, this is what we got with the Granstream GXP2000. That's how it looks inside, and we'll take a look at something of similar price, but probably better in quality with the Linksys unit.